Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and you, all of you, are my co hosts as we talk all things tabletop role playing games. But allow me to give you a theme, a focus, as you will, for today's topic. And as you know, nearly every day, Monday through Friday, we talk about something, basically an idea you can steal. We world build, we have fun, we get sarcastic, and we just let our imagination just take control. And we're still going through our monster mayhem phase here, so just bear with me. But um, I love the idea of taking something, taking something simple, taking something common, and use that little thing to frame our ideas, our creative spark. And sometimes, really, that's all you really need. And today we're going to talk about alchemy. And I'm sure, hi there, Wayne. I wish I was serving cheesecake because I'd have one piece for you, one piece for me, two pieces for you, two pieces for me. I love it. I like the idea of taking something and like reframing, reskinning. We can start with the narrative portions of it, the fluff, if you will, instead of the crunch first. And then we can start building on top of that. And I really love this idea. Hey, Pete. Hey, what's going on? Kids, huh? Huh. I don't know how childish, emotionally, sure. Little bit stunted, I suppose. Uh, I like this idea that we, the origins, the motivations of our monsters could be something that we can use as a basis, if you will, basically as a foundation, and then move from there. Because in many ways, the idea of classic fantasy gaming, where you go out into the dungeon and you fight something, and it fights you, and we have to measure success and failure by attrition, essentially, it can get a little bit boring. And amongst all of us brilliant creators, I think it's the thing that we can really move past. Oh, people express. I'm not going to put your age out there, but you started it, so whatever. Uh, hey, Zamara, I've got to figure out a way to do a show collecting the responses from like YouTube and Facebook together as kind of like a summary show or something, because I read all the comments, and I bring this up because like Zamara popped in a comment on on a YouTube that was very insightful, and I, despite the fact that I read everything, it's hard for me to respond to them. So I'm gonna have to figure something out. Maybe I'll do. I don't know. I can't fit another day in. I'll have to, maybe something at the end of a show. I'll cut the show short. Anyway, let's get back into it. And by the way, thanks guys for being here. All right, so co-hosts, please put this in the back of your head. I think in our current lexicon, current intellectual property, one of our most famous alchemical heroes or protagonists right now. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I hear. Yeah, Zamara. End of month comment response video, maybe. Yeah, a little bit of like because too many people out there cannot be part of the show. You know, if you live in North America and you're between 3 and 6 a.m. in the morning, like no. So, but I want to thank people for just being part of the show in many ways. So, we'll come up with something. We'll come up with it. So starting out, Deadman says, got to include the alchemy plant in today's stream. The alchemy plant? My brain's farting. I'm not exactly sure the reference there. Give me a little bit more meat. There you go. Ooh, one of the greatest. Deadman says last Sunday of each month, like Isaac Arthur does. Ooh, that's a good idea. I mean, if Isaac Arthur can do it and he's brilliant, maybe I could do all submitted responses and questions and things like that. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Okay. All right, okay. All right, okay. Yeah, exactly. You guys are crazy. So I wake up at 4:45 a.m. for this. All right, let's get into it. Yeah, I agree with you there, Z. Yeah, Dead Man is a man of culture. So one of the most famous heroes I think we have today is The Witcher. An individual has been known to be modified by alchemy to become the way he is. And classically in fantasy gaming, how many times have we seen some random monster, if you are a person of a certain age like myself, whose origin for the monster has been it's the Marvel Universe default mutant, right? It's the, well, we really don't have a good ecology for this creature yet because it's 1982, so a wizard did some, it was an accident or some kind of concoction or something that a wizard did to create this thing. Now mind you, not all of them were specifically alchemically created. It could have been something summoned from a far off realm, or an amalgam of two monsters put together that the wizard just was like, oh, this owlbear is a failure, and threw it out into the wilderness, and then it began breeding on its own. But that was a default for a good 30-40% of monsters back in that original monster manual book, and moving forward. Now, of course, since then, a lot of those monsters, either through more knowledge through mythology, world cultures, and just a general, hey, I played the game, I know a great origin for this thing, that began to be retconned into the system. But a lot of them was that. Yeah. Yes, Pelor is like, basically, it's a Powerpuff Girl, but sharp. Yeah, they're going to do a live action Powerpuff Girls show. I don't know if it works live action, but we'll end up seeing if they do a good job at it enough. I used to love the Powerpuff Girls. I know, it's easy. I hear you out there. All right, so what I love about the concept of using alchemy as an origin and a motivation for our monstrous menagerie out there, our mayhem of monsters and adversaries we have, is that, like most things, when it comes to trying to come up with a story, is when you have an origin like that, where that origin was sparked by someone else. So an example would be, we have ourselves the Frankenstein's monster, Proteus or whatever name they've come up with for Frankenstein's monster, but you have to have a Frankenstein to begin with. And was that individual that created it, was it an accident? Was this a fluke? Is this person brilliant? Was there a cabal of alchemical scientists or practitioners using this person as an example, a prototype to sell to someone else? Were they forced to do this upon an individual? What is their motivation? Are they trying to create the perfect being, or maybe even come up with a method of anything from immortality to human perfection, to using this individual as a proverbial terrorist device of some sort? Yeah, it's crazy. Oh yeah, I hear you, Wayne. Talking about the live action Powerpuff Girls. It's already being poo-pooed on. Yeah, we haven't seen it yet. I don't know. People take things so strangely personal. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, let me turn off. Let me turn this off here because I can't see your comments there. Sorry, it just made me think that it's just a little bit busy. Whatever. All right. So the first step that we can think of when we're thinking about using alchemy as an origin is how prolific or rare, excuse me, is this particular event? Is this a one-off? Is this a we have to wait till the Frankenstein's monster is struck by lightning for this creature or creatures to exist? Or is this something a little bit more pervasive? Is there something in the water, literally, that's been put in the water to make people change or transform? A small village where the people in the surrounding area were attacked by lycanthropes, and then the PCs go to a small hidden town or something, and everyone in the town is like, nope, we haven't seen anything strange. Yet everyone there has been transformed into some form of lycanthrope or something because of the water they're drinking or the things that they're eating. Now, alchemy tends to have an artificial component to it, whether it is the grinding of a simple mineral from the deep underdark, or a confluence of like 18 different ingredients, into one particular tincture that is extremely rare and powerful to transform someone. And alchemy has been used throughout much of history, from ancient mythology all the way to the modern era. And I think it's got an excellent place in our fantasy gaming. Mike Gould says alchemy as an origin. Well, we can consult comics or horror. The Flash, yep, the original Flash's origin. Lightning bolt comes through the window, and I get splashed by random chemicals, and that's been retconned. Remember, the Flash has been retconned that lightning bolt was literally the Speed Force or Flash himself having hit those same chemicals. So it's kind of like a circular, what came first, the Flash or the chemical accident. Anyway, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the lizard from Spider-Man, etc. Absolutely. And the great thing about that is, like, you can absolutely have, like, the lizard from Spider-Man, a very insidious, dangerous adversary, and still have that narrative weight of, man, this person didn't really mean to do this thing to themselves, but it happened anyway, right? So we're gonna have to put this person down. B, I wish we didn't have to do it, And also, if you think about it, the one-armed scientist that became the lizard, that was one of Spider-Man's mentors, as a teacher and instructor, is a great way to take an NPC and turn that NPC, flip the head on the NPC, and where the PCs are like, no, it's the old lady that ran the pastry shop, and she transformed into some monstrous entity. What are we going to do, Zamora says, as an aside, you can argue that magic itself is alchemical. It uses ingredients for reactions. It has the Philosopher's Stones and wands and religious iconography. Goes on part 2. That could mean that monsters are the byproducts of using spells. A fireball creating a dragon down the line, or a spell of rage creating hobgoblins. Yes, I wish Dungeons and Dragons embraced more side effects of magic, because the way magic works now, it's basically an on-off switch. You're either doing it or you're not. There are no costs related to it. But I love the idea that, hey, when you use your magic, you're leaving some sort of residue behind, that it becomes a transformative, not transmutation, but a transformative element in the world, in which, yeah, you use a spell of rage, and eventually that rage takes over either yourself or someone else. Using magical spells to affect someone's mind eventually makes them go insane, or they lose, maybe it opens up unlocks something psychic in an innocent individual when you keep using your mind control on the city guard or something like that. I like side effects of things, and internal alchemy as well as external alchemy is a thing that's been used throughout history as an ideal. And maybe there are, I don't know, some kind of martial group that drinks various concoctions to make themselves tougher and stronger or whatnot, and eventually they become maybe monstrous because of it, or anything like that. Pelora mentions that it would be kind of interesting if an alchemist thought their experiment had failed and dumped it to a water source, not realizing that werewolves need a full moon. Ooh, yeah, mistakes. Arrogance makes a lot of mistakes. Like, I've been working on this thing. Mix, mix, mix. Oh, it didn't work. Walks away, finds out that it worked better than they ever thought. You know, exactly. Like, hey, I tried to make a concoction with werewolves and it didn't work. And then once the full moon hits, everyone that drank it is like, damn it. I want my money back. Gribel says Resident Evil D&D version? Yeah. There was a mineral in Pathfinder that kills people and raises them as ghouls, like plutonium, but necromantic. Exactly. And why not include something like that? Who's this? Like, we don't necessarily need to, and I'm trying to encourage us not to hold on to the meta background of what Dungeons and Dragons is, because there is this very loose canon in Dungeons and Dragons, right? Where they talk about like, what do dragons look like and where do undead come from and the outer planes. And so that means that there is a bit of a canon. But you know what? In your own world, you can take that and get rid of it all you want. And who's to say that a radiant and necrotic energy isn't like radiation, that changes and twists things back and stuff like that. See, Mike Gould mentions alchemy plus goblinoid races. A hobgoblin alchemist's failed experiment means that he changes in either a goblin or a bugbear depending on his emotional state. Ooh, that kind of relates back to that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. That very well could be, or maybe those goblinoids came from a single source, and now that person can't bring it back, and they've been trying to eliminate the patient zero ever since. That would be kind of cool too. Or you could always just say goblinoids work very similar to lycanthropy, even, or something, or they only come from something that people have decided to drink or consume or bathe in or something like that. I love it. Cameron, hey Cam. Cam says rolling to cast with a chance of backlash and spending a resource will go a long way to making magic feel more like an exchange of forces. I absolutely agree with it. And even I'm even willing to go so far as to say, like, yeah, you can do magic whenever you want, but maybe you're leaving a scar or a wound on the world of some sort. Hey, I use my spell and it leaves behind some kind of residue that someone else could collect to do another thing. And you might be creating your own adversaries as you're moving along. Zamara says 20 minutes in and we're already bringing out the big guns. Yeah, we usually wait till like the last 10 to 15 minutes, but whatever. Yeah, I love it. Mike says the discarded potion is basically the origin of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Adventure parties like I use my bonus action to drink my potion. Gulp, 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 throw down, hack, slash. Falls into sewer. Small rat comes upon half-drunk potion and is like, yes, what happened? Let me gather the turtles together in this notebook. You will be Leonardo. Becomes the monk dies in the battle and their little small rat familiar or something because leads them on. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Deadman says the live action Powerpuff Girls stars Chloe Bennett, Marvel's Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Dove Cameron from The Descendants, and Yana Peru, the new actress. You just had to latch on to that, didn't you? You just had to latch on. But listen, they were made out of sugar, spice, and everything nice, so yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Gribel says, I tied goblinoids with trolls. Goblinoids are born from troll blood mixed or experimented with other things. A evil warlord wants an evil army. Take some trolls and bleed them into a cauldron. Ooh. What a what a great way for first players are like, trolls, let's kill them. And then they see trolls being tortured. And they're like, that's not right. Maybe we should free the troll. Maybe they shouldn't be hung upside down and sliced open to make armies of goblinoids for various reasons, right? Gribel's like, now that I think of it, yes, it is the evil version of the Powerpuff Girls. Ooh. Alchemists, that's the reason for the turtles. I knew it, Michael. The turtles. For those who don't know, the turtle is a optional. Is it still in an Unearthed Arcana phase? The optional rule to play a humanoid turtle in Dungeons and Dragons. Let's see. Deadman says Shadowrun has that magic residuals that can be used to trace the caster. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and Uchi says everyone always says don't feed the trolls. That's pretty interesting. As a matter of fact, side note, myself, Alex and Rob, those of us from Critical Hit Publishing, wrote an adventure for Nerdarchy called the Wystone Horror, which was about a troll that was an alchemist was feeding potions to a troll to cause the started with like a rabbit and a bear and a rust monster, and then ends up using experiments on troll to get them to drink various potions and concoctions to see what kind of mutations could happen. And in the final showdown in that adventure, the Wystone Horror, the PCs confront the troll in the alchemist lab, and the troll is addicted to drinking the potions, and so with a simple drink starts getting some of the mutating through some of the actions of the potions and things that are in the room, and they're all completely unlabeled and they're all random. So at one point the troll becomes like a big, grows rocky, like earth elemental, and then drinks another one and turns invisible, and drinks another one and his body splits into like 5 or 6 of them, and then drinks another one and turns into like a big giant puddle of ooze. It's all kind, and then the PCs can drink them or use them as weapons and throw them at the troll or spill them on themselves. It's a whole big thing. So yeah. Let's see if I can pronounce this. Mike says potion miscibility is a great origin for traps or new monsters. I have an out-of-the-box encounter that uses mixing potions as a way to make a trap encounter. That's why I love taking a simple thing like, say, alchemy, and turning it into something bigger and better, because when we sometimes creatively are stuck and we don't have that thread to pull on when we're trying to think of an adventure or what the next step is, or the players make a left turn and we're going like, oh, I don't know what to do. If we revert back to our foundation, we can then go, oh, I know what to do. Like, for example, with let me put this back up here. With Mike Gould mentioning the idea that in game, since AD&D on, when potions are mixed together or made incorrectly, that there is a thing that can happen by accident. And there were these random tables that I don't even know if they even still exist in fifth edition, maybe, but there were special things that would happen. And as a matter of fact, if you yourself, let's say you drunk a potion of invisibility and you already had a potion inside of you, something very odd could happen if you drank yet another potion on top of that potion, and strange things could happen. And so using that as environmental effects, like knocking, the Flash, right? Knock over a bunch of chemicals and see what happens. Anything from something simple as a fire, or it turns into acid, or the person transforms, or you don't want to walk in that spot because you'll become stuck into it because it comes like glue or whatever. Those are like environmental effects that could happen, as well as the fact that the origin of our monstrous beings in the world at any given time or place is also possible. Like, for example, maybe there's a criminal organization and they run around with these weird ceramic vials, and whenever the authorities go after them, they pop the cork, go drink it down, and maybe they're sold on the streets like drug dealers or something. Or there's a lab hidden in the underbelly of the city that's putting out these things for like some kind of rebellion force. Maybe the player characters are they don't want to take down the regime that's doing this. I mean, they don't want to take down the criminals that are doing this. They want to take down the regime. Maybe the player character's way to fight off the power of this evil empire is to use these black market chemicals to allow themselves to gain certain advantages in certain areas. The first one that comes to mind for me is an underwater aquatic adventure. You need your players to go underwater, and you need an easy way so you don't have to worry about them drowning. Here you go. Here's some gum, Marine boy. Chew the gum. I can breathe water now, whatever the case may be. And we can have a lot of fun with how an alchemical thing is even used, is also a thing. All right, you guys are getting ahead of me. Zamara says, co-host Z says, while I have used addiction to healing potions in my games, I never thought of using it or others as the reason for monsters coming in conflict with the players. Absolutely. And mind you, this might be something very minor. An NPC, some first level warrior or something is the greatest warrior in the village. PCs come along, we're third level, and it's just like that person's a little jealous and they need an edge to fight the big baddies out there. Hey, let me drink something that's going to make me tougher. And maybe that healing potion isn't created right. Not everybody graduates at the top 10% of alchemy school, right? Those bottom 10%, they still graduated, but I don't know. Do you really want to trust what they're doing? Ooh. Mike Gould mentions that the name of the potion encounter is called Water Slide. It's in out of the box encounter number 2 might still be on the Nerdarchy website. Ooh, Water Slide. That sounds so fun. Here we go with the gelatinous cube. Somebody had to bring it up. I didn't want to bring it up myself. Greibel says another idea. The party finds a gelatinous cube that just finished eating an adventurer and his potions. Suddenly it flies. It's magic armored, blurred, mirror image, bark skin, and heals itself. Okay, see, here's a thing that almost never happens, but I wonder, when a monster eats a PC, and we understand, let's say purple worm, gelatinous cube, Atiog, a Zorn, what's something else that swallows things whole? Doesn't matter. So monster goes like, oh, it's an armored creature, like a lobster. Crunch, crunch, crunch. How often have we had that monster be modified by the things the player has on their body and their magic items? Like, oh, I've got 3 potions. They just opened up inside of the purple worm's mouth. I wonder if the purple worm, though gigantic in size, could be modified by whatever that character was holding at the moment that before they got a chance to use their bonus action and drink that healing potion, right? Like, yeah. Like Mike Gould saying, alchemy is a great way to mimic Rift's juicer, a hero or villain that uses potions to mimic magic abilities. For those who don't know, in off camera was talking a little bit about Palladium Games, but in Rift's part of Palladium Games, there's a character class called it's called an OCC, occupational character class. That's it. And they're a juicer. And the juicers basically got this harness on their body that like pumps in different kind of chemicals into their body. That would be kind of cool to have. Well, first, it would be a really cool player character concept. But also, as an adversary, could you imagine I want to say like an espionage group or something where the player characters fight them and the players never know what their adversaries are carrying until they use the potions. And those potions each could represent, just pick some random magic powers, some random character character abilities. You could make them random traps. You could make them random monsters. Hey, they're carrying 3 potions. He pulls out something blue with sparkles in it. Drink, 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 drink. They become a void dragon. They fight the void dragon. Before the void dragon's taken out, transforms back into their human form, pulls out another drink. Go, 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 go. Turns into a black pudding. Or although maybe the black pudding might chest burst. Ooh. A religious organization, and their followers are so the followers are so fanatical. They each can drink a concoction that turns them into a random ooze, jelly, fill in the blank, right? Gelatinous blob of some sort, yeah, I love it. Mike goes on to say, I have a GC encounter called Rube's Cube. I'll mention something about that later. Anyway, has a encounter called Rube's Cube, where a cube engulfed and ate a person. That person has a ring. The ring gives the cube mirror image. Yeah, because a gelatinous cube swallows up everything. Why wouldn't? At some point, it's going to dissolve whatever is inside of it. At some point, so why wouldn't it get the concoctions that people are carrying around with them? Man, gelatinous cubes must love eating player character alchemists, because they always carry around some pretty dangerous and great stuff. Cam's like the Church of the Glob God. Oh man, that's that would be pretty nasty to have, like, they're like in white robes and they're all peaceful, and all they want is peace and joy and happiness, and they just drink the elixir and you'll be taken to nirvana, and all it does is just put something inside of your chest like a chest burster. Hey, Dante's like, Soylent Ooze is people. It's people. PC's running away like, hell no. Hells no, I'm not buying a single healing potion in this city at all. Ever. Oh man. Mike says, when I ran the encounter, I mentioned that the floor lit up like a dance floor. One of my players blasted CNC Music Factory's Everybody Dance Now for the duration of the encounter. Everybody on some kind of alchemical ecstasy type of thing. Are you ready to face emptiness? Drink. And could you imagine? That would be pretty nasty. All the cultists who've been extremely peaceful but getting beat upon by like the NPCs in the town, and the player character's like, why are people throwing bricks at these people? They're just wearing white robes and handing out healing potions, and they surround the town, strip off their robes naked, gobbling a potion down, and there's like 30 of them, and all of them become some random ooze and starts flowing into the population, and the PCs are like right in the middle of it. That would be awesome. Zamara says, Juicer sounds like something you would use in a cultist campaign. Yeah, I know I beat yeah, the cults, yeah. Oh yeah, just same page. Oh man, Michael says, Black Dragonborn variant. He drank an elixir and his breath weapon is actually vomiting failed black pudding creations. Ooh. See, okay. I know people are like upset about, well, we got rid of race in Dungeons and Dragons. It's stupid. It's diversity. Fold arms, pouty face, right? But something that I'm a proponent of on this channel, and just creatively in general, is like, throw off the shackles. Everything doesn't need to be regimented. You don't need to have a character that is of a particular, air quotes, race or legacy or lineage or whatever, heritage or something like that. Why can't you have been transformed like The Witcher? And no, my character isn't Dragonborn at all. He's just a regular old normal human being, but There's something black and oily that rolls in the back of my eyes, and and my acid breath is that from having an encounter with that black pudding many years ago, because that religious cult did a thing, and now I'm out to get them, take them down and whatnot. I mean, what a great. And does that mean mechanically you're filling out your character sheet like with racial bonuses or something? Sure, but once you get rid of the race part, you can come up with all kinds of origins. And does your character look like a dragonborn? Probably not. You're just, I don't know, maybe you were a gnome or a halfling or something. And physically that's what you look like, but mechanically, you've got other abilities. And I would absolutely embrace something like that. Gribel says a religious cult that summons celestials to drink their blood to feel more divine and close to their god. You know what? Historically, wow. Mythologically, in history, alchemy has been used like that a lot. Vampires drink my blood and you can join me and gain some of my power. A celestial that falls from the sky from maybe a war, or could even have martyred themselves so that the population is able to defend themselves from maybe a coming horror. And so, maybe in your game you're like, I want to include celestials, but I really don't want like the host of angels coming from the sky. But maybe they're drinking the power that these people have is because they are, they drink the blood of a celestial. And are you dancing very close to, using biblical iconography? Sure. But if it's in your own game, you're not writing promotional material. You could do whatever the hell you want to in your own game. And that would be pretty insidious to know that a celestial is the bad guy because they're trying to do a good thing, but the people there are like they're the equivalent of the opposite of a necromancer. So instead of like necrotic power and undead, they're like radiant enemies that are out to where no living person on the earth to them is pure enough through their eyes because of the blood in their bodies and whatnot. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, Cameron says, how did race get it removed? From what I've heard, they just made it more complicated, which sounds great to me considering I'm a white mutt and my genetic background is complicated. We're all mutts. We just don't like to admit it. But race, it's not that it's been removed, but we all know, I know this, I'm tangentizing, and so please don't follow me down this rabbit hole. There's a difference between genetics and culture, and so they're changing things up. So, for example, everyone that lives in the Five Kings Mountain has a culture that's there. That doesn't mean that they're all dwarves, right? So, a dwarf in Dungeons and Dragons is a genetic type of, short, squat, maybe prone to growing hair out of all of their orifices. But a dwarf that lives in the desert may have a different culture, where the desert peoples in the accursed desert has a different culture than the people that live in the Five Kings Mountain, right? So separating the two is essentially what it is. It's why it doesn't make sense that elves classically had skill with long and short bows and swords. It's like, well, I'm a sea elf and I'm a jungle elf. Why are we both, two separate things? So that's where that came from. That's where it is going, but they've even made it even more than that, as a matter of fact. Michael mentions legacy versus race means that you can make anything. Want a sentient dog? Done. Want to make a Yuan-Ti that's transformed by Dendar? Done. Want to make a goblin with the strength of a bugbear? Done. Exactly. We sometimes we're a little too smart for our own good. Like, because somebody will say, well, it doesn't make sense for there to be an elf that's super strong. And you're like, well, do you know all the elves? Have you met every one of them? Like, all of them. Like, you've literally met all of them, So that's why, a brilliant dwarf, a charismatic half-orc, that's where that comes from. Like, they're not all super strong. Maybe there's one that loves books and things like that. Mike Gould says, there you go, the vampire angle. Vampire the Masquerade ghouls are humans that drink vampire blood. Yep, they've never been bitten. They're normal humans, never been bitten, but they drink Vampire blood. Anyway, what a great way to explain a human with greater strength and dark vision. That's a legacy build. That's legacy building at work. Of course, if someone told me, "Hey, I want the could my character have the capabilities? Like, I just want the traits from the half orc like thing because I like the whole idea of bouncing back up with one hit point, but I don't really want to be a half orc." And we work together. Well, maybe it's like vampire blood, and the PC's like, "Ooh, yeah, that would work really well for my like warlock or my sorcerer concept I'm coming up with or something like that." You know what I mean? So while others are like pouting in the corner, I think it just opens up more doorways. And mind you, they don't need to be a special snowflake. If one player character is doing it, why wouldn't you just expand that into the rest of the world? You know? Anyway, and I'm getting to you guys as co-hosts. Don't mean to apologize. To hog the time. Cameron says also species should be the new word for races. Elves are way genetically different than humans, even though they can bang. Ligers exist, but tigers and lions are different species as well. Yeah. I have an old video about why there can or can't be half races, and why there could, not should or shouldn't, but like in classic Dungeons and Dragons, we had half elves and half orcs. Why aren't there half dwarves and half gnomes and half halflings? And why aren't there like a half orc, half dwarf combinations? You can come up with any number of reasons. I'm going to get up to another comment, but Cameron's like, "You've literally met all of them?" Laugh out loud. DBJ, your sarcasm is like my family sarcasm. Yeah, because when people say certain things, it makes me. It's like all right. It's the other day we had ourselves a little friendly debate about firearms in Dungeons and Dragons, and it's like, well, if firearms exist, you get the person fold, pout. If firearms existed, it would just take over and blah blah blah. And I'm like, seriously, like. You don't really know that. And by the way, no matter how true you think that is, I can't remember what this game. Oh yeah, it's about magic and fantasy. You could do whatever the hell you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you don't need to go, well, in reality, because I read in a book somewhere that a thing should happen. It's like, dude, it's like, relax. It's just a game, and you could do whatever you want in the game. And D says, in one campaign, I had skeletons whose hollow bones were filled with alchemical weapons. Turned them into walking grenades with surprise. Still one of my favorite creations. Ooh, no blood marrow inside of those bones. Split them open, and that's thing. Now, Greibel mentions that I like the species thing. If anybody remembers that B-movie Species, what was it? An alien DNA was found that transformed this young girl, or they grew the young girl into this thing or whatever. It's like, yeah, I love it. You could steal the. I know that's not what you were referring to, G, but you could transform that. Like, hey, this alchemist or group of them or whatever was created because they found something from somewhere else that used this thing to transform. So maybe even it's a good way to limit the production of something if you don't want your player characters getting it out of hand. It's like, oh, hey, let's make, I don't know, if you drink this concoction, it turns you into a CR8 monster. Let's get 8,000 of them and hold them in our pockets. And it's like, nope, the ingredients are rare because it came from space, or I don't know, another dimension, or like a vibranium. It fell from the sky or something. Mike Gould says, I made a goblin barbarian that's built with legacy. His mom is a bugbear. Done. Exactly. Why not? What? Why not? Yep. Absolutely. Deadman says, thank Magic the Gathering for the new legacy race rules. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, yes, but we've been heading towards that pretty rapidly. I think from the very beginnings of dwarves all have these skills and elves always had these skills. It always bothered me anyway, because it's just like, well, maybe my character or maybe these people don't have this thing, right? It's like, I don't know. Anyway, that's another. Maybe that we'll do that for another episode, but yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Sorry, there we go. Okay, the chat's jumping on me a little bit. All right, so Michael says the half orc thing actually is built into the religion of the orc pantheon. Luthic, the cave mother, has made orcs capable of breeding with almost anything save elves. That's old school dragon mag. Ooh. Well, then why aren't there half orc, half dwarves, and half orc, half halflings, half orc, half troll? I mean, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm like, that sounds kind of cool to me. Like, what if most what if most of the other monstrous races are trying to create an alchemical prophylactic because everyone's like hey Rickard, maybe they're like, please drink this because if you we don't want all these orcs rolling around in our family. all the other races like the lizard folk and trolls and what are some other humanoids, hill giants and everything. They're like, no, not another orc in our family. Oh man, sorry, I was trying to go through the scrolling through the co-host comments here. Cameron says anyone can steal this if they like it enough. Half dwarves in my world. Breech Scar are large, broad, and sturdy humanoids with lots of hair. They're called the Dromedine, and they live a long time. See, that's another thing. I don't think dwarves would call themselves dwarves. Anyway, that's a cool one there, Cameron, because then you could apply that narrative look to anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, but anyway, it's kind of cool. It's like being being a half orc with the teeth poking out from the underbite, overbite. Dante says a zombie that could puke alchemical weapons would have been a great companion to those skellies. A necrochemist could be a big bad evil guy for a campaign. Now that I think about it, oh hells yes, hells yes. I mean, as a matter of fact, who's to say that they aren't? Okay, this is me twisting the narrative. They're not dead yet, right? So they do the whole my stomach hurts, mommy, my stomach hurts. It's okay, honey. And the PCs are like, step back. I need help. No, get away from me. No, please help me. You're a cleric and a paladin and a druid and half of you are character classes that can heal me. Please help me. And then all of a sudden, it's like, stop, no! And the little baby's like, mommy, my tummy hurts. Boom! And then they start like spewing out alchemical things, or slice open that zombie and your weapon might dissolve with acid. Slice over the other zombie and it catches on fire as it combusts. And slice open that third zombie and your weapon gets stuck in it because it's adhesive or something like that. Yeah. Oh man, hey Rickard, yeah, it's like last 15 minutes, sweet. Dante's like, oh, that's so evil. I hate it. Me too. That and of course we have a great way to take and twist and things like that. Twist chemical compounds and whatnot, and layer that on, making things maybe those, listen, in 5th edition by like 3rd to 5th level or something, you're way past skellies and zombies, right? But adding that on, hell, you could have skeletons walking around where somebody tied string thread onto bottles that are like jingling around their chest cavities inside of the rib cage, and the skeletons are just like, and the PCs are like, stop moving, as the little glass bottles are like jangling around inside of their chest. Don't disturb the skellies. Of course, you got to have that one PC that's like, I've got a pyro spell. Yep, like Rickard mentioned. Yeah, we brought you must have missed it there, Rickard, because we brought up the alchemical gelatinous cube. Yeah, I eat the hero. I've got their magic ring and 3 of their potions inside me. Zamara says, I buy, sell skills and starting items from or to my PCs all the time. It makes sense from a DM perspective when you want to encourage unique backgrounds and backstories from players. Slow clap. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, my elf grew up in the dwarven community. Can I change out my longsword proficiency for a battle axe or something? The answer is yes. Why are you asking me? Yeah, why not? Of course. Now, you explain to me why. Oh, you just did. Really? It took me 10 seconds. Whatever. Oh, man. Oh, man. Cam talking about this dwarf says dwarves might call themselves dwarves. The word dwarf is Nordic and was developed for reference the mythological being. Scientists decide to be dicks and name a disease after myths. Oh, I don't know the origins of a lot of these things, which is funny because a video came across my feed for YouTube about a gentleman. I think he's Canadian. He's a not a speech therapist. He's a person who helps people with He's a dialect coach, and he's got some really great videos. And the one that just came across my feed made me think about what you're referring to. And I want to do a video about those, like a reaction to that, because I think you guys would find it pretty funny. D's had latched on to I like that bottle cage thing. Yep. Go ahead, PCs. Go ahead. Punch the punch the Skelly. See what happens. Go ahead. Rickard's like, no. I mean a cube of condensed alchemy. Everything you hit it with immediately, or it hits you. You roll on a table and see what effect kicks in. Oh. You mean a solid cube of of pure anarchy? Yeah, living potions. Hell's yes. Hell's yes. I'm going to read your comment there. You must be like on your phone or something like that. Camera says the alchemists. In Pathfinder First Edition, the alchemists had things called mutagens, and they changed the alchemist's body like the backwards version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yes, we often think of this goes many different directions. So someone can create concoctions for themselves, right? Like drinking a potion to make them stronger, healing, of course, classically healing, turning invisible, passing through walls, polymorphing themselves, all that kind of stuff, bark skinning themselves or whatnot. There's a lot of spell effects that can mimic a lot of alchemical things. So yeah, absolutely. I personally, I love the idea of like mutagens. That's why I brought up the idea of drug dealing factions that give average individuals on the street potions, and then those people can run around with those potions to drink them, becoming some of those monstrous adversaries that we're talking about. So when a troll is in the middle of the city, it's not because they somehow snuck in. It could just be a human being that was like, I'm gonna get that person back. They stole my loved one. Go, turn into, I don't know, a multi-armed monster or something like that. They kill them and then transform back again. And they're like, what have I done? Blood on my hands. Or maybe they ate somebody and was like, that was kind of fun. Let me do that again. All right, so we're coming to the end here, guys. Thank you so much. By the way, I want to remind you that tonight, I posted on the YouTubes and Facebookies and even on Twitter and whatnot. But tonight I'm going to be interviewed on MML. The Manufactured Myth and Legerdemain is a new channel, and this individual has interviewed a number of people. I'm very surprised. So I'm kind of geeking out because the gentleman that runs Manufactured Myth has interviewed like Walter John Williams and Cody Pondsmith and Kevin Symbiota and many other people that are in the role-playing game creative space. And I'm going to be on this show. So I'm pretty happy. I'll kind of like vicariously be living through some of my early 80s geekdom and such. So I'm pretty happy. Yeah. So just getting couple of these comments from our co-host. Dante says, at Rickard, so an ooze that responds differently to the material you hit it with. If it reacts with iron, it might blow up, but you could put it in an inert metal. Or, oh, that's right. But you can put in an inert metal, gets past it like mithril or something like that. Yeah, so maybe like you said, iron might react differently to it than, say, what kind of other materials like wood or copper or, like you said, mithril, or even magical effects like fire, electrical abilities may have some kind of weird chemical reaction. Uh-oh. Yeah, Rickard's like, I was thinking more that there were so many different potions that you never knew what alchemical reaction you trigger with each hit. Oh, you mean like a tie-dyed, a swirling tie-dyed gelatinous cube, kind of like a fruit smoothie? It's got blue and green. Or one of those what's the thing? You get the colored sand and you fill it up in the bottle. And you never know what you might get. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you might get. I love that idea. I really do. As a matter of fact, what if there's a monster like a troll that has a gland in it that you have to remove, because that gland produces many, if not all, of the various potions that are available? Yep. That's actually this is gonna run into a, maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I think we're gonna do it tomorrow. Anyway, I'll tell you just before we get out of here. Zamaris' last second comment for everyone. Remember, historically, alchemists used to hide their secrets and discoveries from everyone. They were the wizards of their time. And the fact that we're talking about this and like going hog wild, this is just an hour. This is barely an hour of thinking about this, and we're already like, you know what kind of dangerous, bullshit stuff that would happen with an alchemist. So imagine, give this a day, a week, a year, months, years, decades of alchemists out there in the public eye, within the game, and this would just transform everything. So I love taking a thing and twisting it and turning it, making it strange. Yep. Absolutely. Michael says troll mutation. Troll mutation is a thing. Read the small print in the monster manual. Exactly. That's where the Y Stone horror came from that we wrote for Nerdarchy. That's where that adventure came from, by a not very good alchemist doing mutations on a troll and having a fight inside of like an alchemist lab. Dante says, yeah, both could be cool. Rangers with shark teeth arrows might get through the resistance too, or some such interactions could be cool. Or maybe just say no to potions. Yeah. Now I'm gonna make this tomorrow's. This is going to be tomorrow's thing. So I'm going to stop the chat here. Guys, hold all your creativity for tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to use, instead of alchemy just being done today, tomorrow we're going to talk a bit meta about Monster Mayhem. Yeah, this is your brain on potions. Questions, anyone? Yeah. So tomorrow we're going to get a little meta. We're going to talk about puzzle monsters. All right. So as a little preamble for tomorrow, because I was thinking about this, and at first I was trying to narrow it down to an in-world thing, but when I say we're going to talk meta, there are monsters that have been mythological creatures that could only be stopped. Oh man, it's like, hey, Cam, you're so silly. Holding my creativity and doing the creativity dance, like having to go to the bathroom, because I know what that feeling is. When you get the shaky leg and you do the little pelvis tuck because you're like, I gotta go. Are you done yet? I gotta go. Flush. Hurry up. Anyway, yes, tomorrow we're going to talk puzzle monsters. Puzzle monsters, basically monsters that trying to punch them in the face is pretty tough. We got to figure a way around whatever the thing that they're doing. I'll bring up some examples: the Hydra, vampires, the Nemean lion. Most of these are like from Hercules. The Nemean lion, the the one-eyed Cyclops. There's a ton of monsters out there that, like, on their surface. Yep, Achilles. Yeah, Achilles is one. Talos, the gargantuan statue, Talos. I'm not giving away. Trolls, another one. Puzzle monsters, and I feel like, especially at very low levels in fantasy gaming, where I feel like puzzle monsters really shine, I believe it's underserved. Enough with the rats and the goblins and the skeletons. Like, I feel like we're missing something. So I'd like us to talk a little bit about meta puzzle monsters, where they're tough, they're hard to fight, maybe they're problematic, they're insidious. But if you just figure out the puzzle, you figure out the key to unlock what it is that you're fighting, I feel like that's a great way of doing a thing. And maybe we can flip it over. Achilles is a hero who had certain capabilities, and by the way, with those capabilities, also had a way to unlock what they could do. And so maybe we might even play upon that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Check out the interview tonight. Hopefully everything will go well. Hopefully there won't be any technical issues and whatnot, and allow me to geek out. Also, just leave some comments just generally out there on, like, Twitter or Twitch or the Discord server, something like that. If there's anything I can do in small ways to make this just a better show for you guys. So thank you very much, guys. Have a great one. Yeah. Thanks for the fun. Thank you there, Cameron. Deadman says, and you could always change up the puzzle to create a new challenge. Hell yeah. Oh, hells yes. Yeah, just like the idea of, like, instead of using fire against trolls, you have to use electricity or cold or something like that. So, but anyway, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great one. And, of course, happy